TwoTwentyTwo Productions presents the Mercury Laboratories. Here at the Mercury Laboratories, we put our very willing test subjects through different tests of human capabilities. Today is the escape test, in which they'll have to make it through a 3-part obstacle course within a set time. However, any slip-up will cost them 5 seconds on their clock, and if they run out of time, they are eliminated. In Stage 1, they'll have a minute 40 to make it past the slope climb. And then after that, they'll have to make it past the parallel bars. Afterwards, they'll have to cross the turn jump, get on that little beam, and then jump the gap. After that, it's the hurdle. Then, the Dragon's Gate. Then, using their hands, they have to get across the Heavenly Traverse. One bar spins, the other's bent. Then finally is the pole hanger. One bar rocks, the other bar rolls. And now here is our first test subject. He is test subject number 17. The biggest. Let's see how he does. And he makes a good start. He goes across the slope climb with no problem. Over to the parallel bars, and his foot touched the ground. That's a 5-second penalty. That means he'll have to finish with at least 5 seconds left on the clock. Oh, and he slips again. That's another 5 seconds. Well, he seems to be going fast enough. If he keeps at his pace, he should be fine. He gets on top of the Dragon's Gate, tries to keep his balance, makes his way across, nice jump. Now onto the Heavenly Traverse. He grabs it, he's tall enough, no problem. Using his height to his advantage. Now only one obstacle left, the pole hanger, plenty of time. Using his legs. Onto the second bar. Gets down there. And he hits the button with no problem. Plenty of time left, even with the 10-second penalty. He is moving on to Stage 2. Very well done. Our next test subject is test subject number 22. Not as tall as 17, not as big either, just have to see how he does. He gets ready for the signal to go, and he begins. Attacks the slope climb, no problem there. Onto the parallel bars, practically jumps halfway through, uses his legs to help him through the other half, very well done. Onto the turn jump, no problem there. No penalties as he hops over the hurdle. Now onto the Dragon's Gate. Climbs his way on top, making sure he keeps his balance. And he touches down. Now for the Heavenly Traverse. He jumps up, grabs it. His body's swaying left and right as he's trying to go forward. Weird motion. Now onto the pole hanger. A minute left to conquer this final obstacle. He's doing very well. Using just his hands and his feet on the pole. Now he's going backwards. His arm strength is not his forte. He's going to try to swing the last part. And his foot touched the bad zone at the very end. But that doesn't matter. Plenty of time left on the clock. Number 22 is moving on to Stage 2. Very well done. Very well done indeed. Alright, up next is test subject number 55. Just as tall as 17, not as big though. Here he goes across the slope climb. Onto the parallel bars. And couldn't hold himself up, takes a 5-second penalty, but makes it across nicely. Makes it across the slope jump, no problem. Over the hurdle. Here he goes. Dragon's Gate, gets on top, almost looks like he's gonna crawl it. Nope, trying to get his balance, getting steady, and he jumps, makes it. Now onto the Heavenly Traverse, he got both bars, using his height to his advantage, but it looks like he's struggling across. That might be a problem because last is the pole hanger, which really requires you to use your arms. Let's see if he can do it. To the first one. Can he get to the second one? He's trying. He has a hold of it. Trying. Can he? Oh no, he can't. 5-second penalty, but that's still more than enough for him to move on to stage 2. A little unorthodox, but 55 is moving on. Alright, now up next is test subject number 8, the smallest of our 5 test subjects. She gets ready, and she starts. Runs up the slope jump, jumps down, no problem. Now into the parallel bars. Swinging her legs wildly again, across pretty quickly. Swings the final inch. Now into the turn jump. She turns, gets on the little bar, and jumps. Over the hurdle. Now onto the dragon's gate. Regardless of her height, she still makes it up, keeps her balance. Now she's going to try to mix it across. She does. Now onto the heavenly traverse. Is she tall enough? And no! No! She's having trouble reaching it. And using the wooden post for help, she gets on the spinning bar, grabs the bent bar, and now she makes her way across. Very well done. Only one obstacle left, the pole hanger. Fortunately, this pole is lower than the heavenly traverse. She's now using her feet to help her up to get her to the second pole. She grabs it, gets across, and now she touches down. And just like that, our first female competitor has no penalty. Very well done. She is moving on to stage 2 without any problems at all. Well done. Alright, now our final test subject for stage 1 is test subject number 9. Here she goes. The slope climb, no problem. Onto the power bars. Oh, can't hold herself up. That's the penalty. Get another penalty. That's the third penalty. Not doing well. She's got to hurry it up now. Tries to make jumping. Oh no! Oh dear. Hope she didn't hurt herself. Unfortunately, that's another penalty. Gets over the hurdle. Looks like it took her a little extra effort though. Trying to get on top of the dragon's gate. Makes her way on top. Holding steadily. The wind is blowing on her. Jumps and can't reach it. Trying to pull herself up now. Having a lot of difficulty. Time's just ticking down. With a stunt coordinator on the field now. She needs assistance, she'll get a boost. Looks like that's what she's gonna get. Gets lifted up, grabs the 2 bars. Now she can make her way across. The clock's ticking down. Hand in hand. Across. Now onto the last obstacle, the pole hanger. She only has 10 seconds on the clock. And if you're paying attention, it's obvious that she will not be moving on to the next stage. 25 seconds worth of penalties, no time on the clock. So, unfortunately, we have lost one. So even though we lost number 9, 4 test subjects managed to make it past stage 1 and return for stage 2. First, number 17, Blaze through 36.27 left on the clock. Number 55, made it past 17.67 left on the clock. Number 22, 55, made it 30.6 seconds left on the clock. And number 8 was the only one without penalties, and had 21.9 seconds. These 4 will now conquer stage 2, or at least try to, in the next episode. So, stay tuned to see what happens when our 4 remaining test subjects try harder obstacles in less time. Until next time, see you then. 222 Productions presents Mercury Laboratories. We now continue with test 1. In stage 2, they will have a minute 25 to make it through the balance pole, and then swing the way across the executioner. Then they have to jump on top of Satan's cross and jump across. Then they have to travel on the lone bar, which is a single bar that must travel across. And then finally, the pillar's path. Make it across the first 3, swing around the final one, and then hit the button in time. First is test subject number 22. See how he does on stage 2. Then he begins on the balance pool, gets on top of the first one, has to step down, gets on the second one very nicely. He jumps, grabs the first bar, and two-hand jumps to the second bar, saving him a little bit of time. Now he swings his body, jumps, lands nicely. Now into Devil's Cross. Going first has to come at a little bit of a disadvantage, but he's making it look like he's done this before. He's now up to lone bar, using his abdomen to stay on top, sliding his way across. Lots of time still left on the clock. But barely holds on. No penalty though. Now into Pillar's Path. Lots of time still left on the clock as he makes his way across. He goes, he grabs onto the final, swings across, and hits the button in time. No penalties, 23 seconds left on the clock, he moves on. Alright, up next, number 17. He did well in stage 1, let's see how he does in stage 2. And he goes. Gets on top of the balance pole, and he jumps over the second pole, doesn't bother. Executioner grabs the second bar, swings across immediately, using his height to his advantage, and which should mean he should be able to get on top of this, but he just can't, and he jumps and decides to straddle it. Oh, and I'm being told that he actually broke a piece of the beam off. Oh, and he doesn't even make the jump. After all that, he doesn't even make the jump. Well, now makes his way to lone bar. Now using his legs and his arms, inverted stance makes it across very quickly. But how's he going to get to the safety zone? Can he hold? No, he cannot. That's another 5 seconds. On to Pillar Path. Makes his way across. Holding his balance, almost losing it. Makes his way across the final beam, and he presses the button, and with a 10-second penalty, barely has enough time to make it across, but he still moves on to the final stage. Alright, up next is number 55. See how he does. Had a little trouble on stage 1. Hopefully he'll be able to make it up in stage 2. He also jumps the lower bar. Doesn't really have to jump because of its height, but he seems to be having a little trouble with swing. Can't really get the momentum going. Oh, and he couldn't make it. 5-second penalty right there. And he too is not going to stand on it. It looks like he's sliding across on his butt. I found it odd how the two taller people couldn't get up a high ledge. Very weird. But how's he gonna bridge the gap? And he can't. Now he makes his way around onto the lone bar, sliding his way across. Can he do it? Admin must be killing him. Now he goes, he makes it to the safety zone. He's gonna have to hurry. The clock ticks down and moves along Pillar Path. On the second one, the third one, has to swing around the fourth. Time's ticking down. He goes, he lands, he hits the button, but unfortunately, with too many penalties, he has been eliminated. Now our final test subject for stage 2 is number 8. Let's see how she does. She was the only one who didn't get penalties in the first stage. Makes her way across. jumps across the balance pole, almost losing it. Grabs the first bar, transfers the second one, and immediately swings and jumps very nice. And gets on top of the Devil's Cross. I'm going to repeat what I said earlier. Anyone find it weird how the taller people couldn't get on top of that, but the shorter two could? Makes the jump beautifully. Now makes her way onto the lone bar. How will she do it? Oh, using her hands, not her abdomen. Getting across very quickly. She is tearing this stage apart. And does a nice back jump. Plenty of time left, no penalties. She would have to drop dead in order not to pass this stage. Swings around, she goes, hits the button, and with the best time, she moves on to the final stage. Even though we lost one test subject in the form of number 55, 3 of our 4 managed to pass stage 2 and move on to the third and final stage of our escape. First, number 22 impressed and moved on with 23 seconds left. Then, number 17 barely survived with 3 seconds left. And number 8 proved that she is the best with 27.3. Now, what awaits them is the final stage. One final dash. Who will win, if anyone? Stay tuned. TwoTwentyTwo Productions presents the Mercury Laboratories. We now continue with test 1. It's now time for the final stage, where the final 3 test subjects will have 40 seconds to cross a long, narrow fence and press the button before time runs out. First up is number 17.
Mark, yep. Set, go.
He begins his assault on the final stage, moving his way across, trying to keep his balance at the safety post. Those posts are designed both to slow down and to help keep your balance, so sweet and sour post. Way across. Pick up the speed though, 15 seconds left. Down to final 10. Gotta move. Balance. Unfortunately, he has run out of time.
Oh. 43. I have to go. On your mark, get set, go.
And now number 8 is making her way across. Trying to hold on to her balance. Speed is also a good key. Doesn't want to make the same mistakes that we did. She's running her way across. Holding her balance nice. Oh! Almost lost it. She recovered. She has to hurry though. Makes her way across. Only 10 seconds left. Can she do it? 5 seconds. 2 seconds. And she runs out of time, unfortunately. She is also out. 22 is our last person. Now number 22 starts the final battle of the first test. See if he can make it across the final stage. He is the remaining test subject. Using his arms to keep his balance might be a good strategy. He's wobbling though. He wobbles a little. Oh. Close to losing it, had to take a breather. He's down to 10 seconds. He's gonna have to move. He's running out of time. 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds. Oh my. He makes it! With a half a second left on the clock, he makes it. So now, congratulations to number 22. He is the ultimate winner. The only sole survivor to pass all 3 stages. Thank you for watching, and make sure to stay tuned for future Mercury Laboratory shows. He's so tall, it's hard to fit him in the entire shot. Jump, 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 go, run, 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 hit the button, hit the button, hit the button! Ready?
From the mind of a crazy person, 222 Productions proudly presents a place where willing test subjects compete in difficult test experiments. Facing daunting physical and mental tasks, the subjects will have to survive brutal obstacles and demanding limits. Success is unlikely, and those who fail will be immediately removed from the experiment. However, anyone who does succeed will receive a passing grade from the Mercury Laboratories. Welcome to the second test of the Mercury Laboratories. Today, we will be revisiting our escape test with Escape Test 2. This time, 3 new and 3 returning test subjects will have to navigate through our 4-stage obstacle course within the given time limits. Slip-ups will result in time penalties, and the expiration of the time limit will result in an immediate failure. For Stage 1, test subjects will have 1 minute 40 seconds to complete a 7-part obstacle course. Penalties will result in a 5-second deduction of their time. First, test subjects will have to get past the slope climb. After that, they'll have to get past the parallel bars. Then, it's the number cruncher, where subjects will have to answer a simple addition problem in order to continue. After that, it's the under hurdle, followed by the Dragon's Gate, the Heavenly Traverse, and last but not least, the pole hanger. Alright, first up is test subject number 3. Let's see how he does. 3, 2, and the countdown begins. Initiate. And he's off. First he goes up the slope climb with no problem. Now he makes his way to parallel bars and oh, he slips right in the middle. Hey, isn't this how we started test 1? Alright, he's on the number cruncher. He has to answer 97 plus 31. All the numbers are drawn at random. He's taking an awful long time on this. Let's see. He gets his 128 and he's correct. Now he makes his way over to the under hurdle. As you can see, it's a very difficult obstacle. Makes his way onto the Dragon's Gate and he loses balance and takes another 5-second penalty. Tries to get back on and falls off again. No penalty because he did not advance in the obstacle. And he falls off again. Still no penalty because he has stayed in the same spot. But he can't continue if he can't get on the obstacle. Now he makes his way on top of the Dragon's Gate by crawling on it. Moving very slowly on his hands and knees. Getting to the very top. Gets to his feet. Jumps off. Makes his way across. He has 35 seconds left. He gets onto the Heavenly Traverse. Moves across it very nicely. Gets to the end. He has about 25 seconds left. He has to make sure he doesn't have any more mistakes left. Makes his way, wraps his legs around the bottom pole. Moves his way up. It looks like he's stuck a little. He's trying to muscle his way on top of the pole. We haven't seen anyone get through this before. 10 seconds remain. 10 seconds are left as he sits on the bar. He needs to hurry as he's about to run out of time. It doesn't look like he's going to make it, and he doesn't, unfortunately. Such a shame. Unfortunately, number 3 had difficulty on almost the entire course. He took a penalty on the parallel bars, took a lot of time on the number cruncher, had a lot of difficulty getting on top of the Dragon's Gate, and then he was slow on the pole hanger. Eventually, he ran out of time and will not be moving on to stage 2. And now it's time for test subject number 69. He's looks like he's in good shape, so let's see what he does. 1. Initiate. And the clock starts and he's off. He goes up the slope climb with no problem, onto the parallel bars, swings his legs wildly and makes it away across very easily. 89 plus 3, 92. He answers right away, no problem. Gets underneath the under hurdle, makes his way on top of the Dragon's Gate. Doesn't even use his hands at all, just like it was walking across a sidewalk. No problems. Now he's moving his way across the Heavenly Traverse. Gets across. And he starts a little bit early on the pole hanger, but it's okay. He goes back to the beginning. Gets onto the second bar. Oh, still has a minute left. This is amazing. And oh, Misses the jump, but still plenty of time, and there you go. Finishes with plenty of time left. Despite that little slip up at the end, 69 absolutely blazed through the first stage. He had no problems throughout the entire course and posted what will probably be the best time for stage 1. And now the final contestant of this episode, test subject number 87. Initiate. And he starts, and let's see, he makes his way to slip climb, up and over, nice and easy, onto the parallel bars, and oh! So close to making it across in a single bound, but his feet touched. Now he has 95 plus 92. Answers it quickly with 187, gets it correct. Gets through the under hurdle very easily. Gets onto the dragon skate. Sits on top of it. Now he carefully makes his way on top. Saw how number 3 had a lot of difficulty. Stands on top, walks his way, jumps down. A minute left. Makes his way onto the heavenly traverse, scurries his hands along, kicking his legs and swinging side to side, try to push through, makes it to the end. Less than a minute left. And you see, it's very cold right now. The metal is taking the tolls on his hands. He can't get up to the second bar. He takes another penalty. Moves his way onto the next bar. Tries to get to the end. 20 seconds remain. Tries to swing it. Oh, he couldn't make it. But he still has just enough time to reach the button and complete the stage. Although he had some difficulty along the way, 87 persevered through the course and managed to finish with a little less than 8 seconds on the clock. So far, our 3 new test subjects took on stage 1, but of the 3 of them, only 2 passed. First, test subject number 69 blazed through the course and finished with 46.8 seconds left on the clock. Then, test subject number 87 took his time and finished with 7.6 seconds left on the clock. Next time, test subjects 8, 17, and 22 return to take on the course. How will they do? Tune in next time to find out. From the mind of a crazy person, 222 Productions proudly presents a place where willing test subjects compete in difficult test experiments. Facing daunting physical and mental tasks, the subjects will have to survive brutal obstacles and demanding limits. Success is unlikely, and those who fail will be immediately removed from the experiment. However, anyone who does succeed will receive a passing grade from the Mercury Laboratories. Welcome back. Last time, 3 new test subjects took on the first stage, and 2 of them passed. Now it's time for our 3 returning test subjects to take on the first stage. First up is test subject number 8. Last time, she was flawless on the stage 1. In stage 2, she was strong and finished with the best time. Unfortunately, in stage 3, she just ran out of time. Let's see how she does this time. Alright, it is now time for test subject number 8 to take on the first stage. Let's see if she can beat all 4 stages this time. And she begins, and she's off. Over the slope climb nice and easy. Get over parallel bars, which she's always good at. Fast as always in parallel bars. Gets onto the number cruncher. Her question is 34 plus 66. She's thinking about it, and she guesses 99, and that is incorrect. She has to take a 5-second penalty for getting that question wrong. Now into under her, and she slips underneath it. I guess it really is difficult. Who would have thought? Climbing onto the dragon's gate, makes her way up, and she gets across with a jump at the end. Now onto the heavenly traverse. Can she make it a 1 jump this time? And she does! By her fingertips, she makes it up. Makes her way across nicely. Now only the pole hanger remains. Plenty of time still left. Gets up. Wraps her legs onto the top. Grabs the top bar. Looks like she's gonna swing for it. And she does. She makes it across. And she completes the first stage in total fashion, despite a slight miscalculation. Next is test subject number 17. In the first stage, he ran into trouble early on, but finished strong. In stage 2, he dominated the executioner, but got dominated by the Satan's Cross and the Lone Bar. And then stage 3, he ran out of time and he wasn't fast enough. Hopefully he'll do better this time around. Alright, and now here is test subject number 17, ready to take on the new first stage on this new escape test course. He looked ready and rearing to go, and so he is about to begin. 3 countdown starts,
2, 1,
and he initiates off. Makes his way up to the slope climb, very nice, up and over. Makes his way onto the parallel bars. He slipped here last time. Let's see how he does, making his way across, and he does it nicely. Makes his way onto number cruncher now. His question is 17 plus 89. Let's see if he can get this one. Putting a lot of time into this one. It's taking him longer than 5 seconds to answer this one. And he guesses correctly. Alright, he guesses the right answer. He gets underneath the under hurdle very easily. Now he makes his way onto the Dragon's Gate. Gets across nicely. Now onto the Heavenly Traverse. Using his legs and arms to get across that. Final obstacle, the pole hanger with lots of time left. Makes his way up. Gets to the second bar as he was jump, and oh, he does not make the jump, but he still has plenty of time left, and so test subject number 17 moves on to stage 2 once again on his quest to beating all 4 stages. Finally, it's time for test subject number 22. In the first 2 stages, he was strong, and then he was the strongest in the final stage when he was the only one to beat it. Let's see if he can beat all 4 stages this time around. Alright, now here is the champ himself. 3,
he gets ready
2,
to start the first stage.
1.
And
Initiate.
he is off. Just like that. Now let's make his way up the slope climb very nicely. Now gets onto the parallel bars. Moves his legs back and forth. And he gets to the end. Now he gets onto the number cruncher. And his question is 10 plus 93. And this shouldn't be too hard. And it isn't, because he answers 103, which is correct. Gets underneath the under hurdle very easily and onto the Dragon's Gate. He pulls himself up carefully. Makes his way across very nicely. Now into the Heavenly Traverse. Steps in. He jumps. And he starts to make his way across, much easier than he did last time. Now onto the pole hanger, the one obstacle that he slipped up in the last test. Gets onto the second bar, starts moving backwards, and he starts building up momentum. He jumps, and he makes it this time. And so, test subject number 22 completes the first stage without any flaws. But let's see if he can keep it up this time. This time around, 3 returning test subjects took on the new first stage, and of the 3 of them, all 3 of them passed. First, test subject number 8 blazed through the stage and finished with 30.9 seconds left on the clock. Then, test subject number 17 beat his earlier troubles from last time and finished with 24.7 seconds. Then, the returning champ number 22 finished with 39.6 seconds left. They will be joined by 69 and 87 from the previous episode. Next time, our 5 remaining test subjects take on the second stage. Who will pass? Who will fail? Tune in next time to find out. From the mind of a crazy person, 222 Productions proudly presents
A place where willing test subjects compete in difficult test experiments. Facing daunting physical and mental tasks, the subjects will have to survive brutal obstacles and demanding limits. Success is unlikely, and those who fail will be immediately removed from the experiment. However, anyone who does succeed will receive a passing grade from the Mercury Laboratories. It's now time for Stage 2, where test subjects will have 1 minute 25 seconds in order to complete a 6-part obstacle course. Penalties will result in a 7-second deduction of their time. First, test subjects will have to cross the balance poles, followed by the Executioner 2, the Satan's Cross, then the Hurdle, the Lone Bar, and finally, Pillar Path. First up will be 17. Okay, and now here is test subject number 17.
1.
Initiate.
And he begins. On the balance poles, gets across just nicely. Now with the Executioner 2, he did very well last time with the Executioner, but this is harder now. You gotta move to the side, get to the second bar, then swing. It's a very nice job. Now where he had trouble last time. Will he be able to beat Satan's Cross? He gets a knee up. Gets his other knee up. Steadies himself. And he does it! Over the hurdle. Now for the other obstacle. The Lone Bar. It should be worth noting that it is about at freezing temperatures right now with a wind to help keep it extra cold. Now onto Pillar Path. No penalties at all. Still has plenty of time. Final jump and he makes it. No problem at all. Next up will be 22. Okay, now here is 22, and he is off onto the balance poles. Makes his way across very nicely. He jumps, grabs the first bar with the reverse grip, gets onto the second bar, starts pumping his legs for the jump. Getting a very big swing, and he makes it. Almost trips on himself though. Now onto Satan's Cross. He gets on very nicely. And he jumps and makes away his cross. Hops across the hurdle nicely. And gets onto the Lone Bar. His hands and torso must be absolutely screaming due to the extreme cold right now. Now onto Pillar Path. Looks like he's going to make it as well. He jumps, makes it across, and he makes it. 22, finishing with plenty of time. Next up will be test subject number 87. And now, here is test subject number 87, ready to take on the second stage.
1. Initiate.
And he is off onto the balance poles. Jumps the second half just nicely. Onto the second Executioner. Grabs on the second bar. He swings and jumps and does not make the distance. He takes his first 7-second penalty. And he accidentally skipped 2 of the obstacles. But now he's back to the Satan's Cross. Trying to get on top. And he can't. Unfortunately, that's another penalty because he landed in the penalty zone. And it seems like he's having a lot of difficulty getting onto that beam. He's losing a lot of valuable time. Not sure if he's going to be able to get on top of it. Looks like he's going to give up a little bit. I sure hope he doesn't. Looks like he's going to give it another go. He tries to get on. Gets the second leg on. Looks like he's going to make it up this time. And oh, he slips off again. He's getting the signal to move ahead.
4, 3,
But unfortunately, it's not going to make a difference
Time's up.
because 87 has run out of time. It is now time for test subject number 8 to take on the second stage. In the first test, she did
3,
very well. Let's
2,
see how she'll do this
1.
time.
Initiate.
She gets on the balance poles and gets across very easily. Hops up to the executioner, slides to the right, grabs the second pole, and she launches herself, and oh, unfortunately she cannot make the difference. She gets a 7-second penalty. Makes her way up to Satan's Cross nicely. Leans a little but makes her cross. Up and over the hurdle. Now onto the lone bar, which she's done very well in the past. Does equally as well this time around. And she jumps. Beautiful jump onto the pillar path. Manages to keep her balance to the end. Oh, almost loses it. And she makes it with plenty of time left. She is moving on to stage 3. And now, last but not least, is test subject number 69.
Initiate.
He begins, makes his way across very nicely, gets on to executioner 2, and in one fluid motion makes his way across, down to Satan's Cross. He hops on, and runs across it just nicely, up and over the hurdle. Now onto the lone bar. He jumps about a third of the way, gets across it extremely fast, doing a mighty fine job now. Onto a pillared path, and I can't believe this. He has such a large amount of time. He just blew everyone else's time out of the water. 69, dominating the second stage. This time, 5 remaining test subjects took on the second stage, and 4 of them passed. Test subjects 22, 8, and 17 all did very well on the course. However, their times failed to compare to test subject number 69's amazing run through the second stage. Next time, our 4 remaining test subjects venture into the brand new third stage. What will happen? Tune in next time to find out. From the mind of a crazy person, 222 Productions proudly presents a place where willing test subjects compete in difficult test experiments. Facing daunting physical and mental tasks, the subjects will have to survive brutal obstacles and demanding limits. Success is unlikely, and those who fail will be immediately removed from the experiment. However, anyone who does succeed will receive a passing grade from the Mercury Laboratories. It is now time for the third stage. Our remaining 4 test subjects have 1 minute and 30 seconds in order to complete a 4-part obstacle course. Penalties on the first 3 obstacles will result in a 10-second deduction of their time, and penalty on the final obstacle will result in automatic failure. First is the letter box, where test subjects will have to answer a question based on the order of the alphabet. Then is the possum tracks, where they'll have to get across the low bars in the position shown. They'll be allowed to dismount the bars once they touch the opposite side. Then is the docks, where they'll have to jump a distance off the docks, touch a button, and then jump the distance back onto the docks. An optional safety return bar is available for them if they choose to, but using it will waste time. Finally is the bar slider. Messing up here will result in an automatic failure. Alright, it is now time for test subject number 22 to begin. Let's see how he does on this brand new third stage.
3, 2, 1. Initiate.
And as make his way onto the letterbox,
His question is, what comes 2 before X? Let's see if he can get it right. He's thinking about it. Time is ticking. He guesses V and is correct. Now on to the possum track. He gets underneath, starts shimmying his arms and legs across. Very nicely. Got the couple of inches left, and he touches, and he drops. Now on to the docks. Will he choose the... Yes, he does. He chooses the safety return bar. Gets a running start and jumps. Now he makes his way back, using that bar to help him up. Now all that's left is the bar slider. Now he can't fail here, otherwise he is out. Makes his way across. Oh, he's starting to twist. He's dangerously close to falling off. Oh, and he adjusts just nicely. And he gets to the end, and he makes it. He is going to pass this with style. And so, despite almost falling off the bar slider, 22 will be moving on to the final stage. Now it's test subject number 17's turn to take on the third stage.
1. Initiate.
And he makes his way over to the letterbox. His question is, what comes 1 before H? He thinks about it a little. He guesses G, and he is correct. Now over to the possum tracks. He gets into position. Having a little difficulty getting up. He gets his legs up, and he starts moving his way across. Just dragging his feet along, and he makes it to the end. Now onto the docks. He gets on, makes a big jump, and now makes a just as big jump back. He now makes his way onto the bar slider, grabs the bar, starts pushing his way. Oh, he's twisting. Straightens himself out, gets himself up, makes it to the end, and he finishes. He too will be moving on to the final stage. And now here is test subject number 8, who is very ready to take on the third stage.
3, 2, 1. Initiate.
And she begins. Her question is, what comes 1 before X? She quickly answers W and is correct. Now she gets onto the possum track, makes her way up, gets her hands and feet on the track, going very quickly across. But can she make the jump in the docks? Indeed she can. She touches, jumps her way back. Now she makes her way onto the bar slider. Gave our first two a little bit of trouble. Let's see how she does. And looks like she's doing just fine. The bar is not twisting at all. And it looks like number 8 will become the third person to move on to the final stage. Here is test subject number 69. He's done very well in the first 2 stages. Let's see how he does in stage 3.
2, 1. Initiate.
He makes his way over to the letterbox. What comes 1 before Y? He quickly answers X, and he makes his way onto the possum track just like that. Now at 10 seconds have just passed. He makes his way across, and oh, he drops his feet. Only loses 10 seconds though, and makes his way over to the docks now. He jumps up, jumps a long distance, presses the button, jumps his way back across just fine. Almost loses it though. Makes his way onto the bar slider. He starts to push. He twists his big... Oh no!
Time's up.
And he falls off. Unfortunately, despite how well he's done in the first 2 stages, test subject number 69 will not be moving on to the final stage. He is eliminated. With 69's departure, we have now lost all of our new test subjects. The 3 returning test subjects who took on the final stage last time, 8, 17, and 22, all managed to beat the third stage and will now have to face the brand new final stage. Do any of them have what it takes to conquer this new demon? Next time, the final stage. Will someone win, or will the course get the last laugh?
Tune in next time for the exciting conclusion.
From the mind of a crazy person, 222 Productions proudly presents a place where willing test subjects compete in difficult test experiments. Facing daunting physical and mental tasks, the subjects will have to survive brutal obstacles and demanding limits. Success is unlikely, and those who fail will be immediately removed from the experiment. However, anyone who does succeed will receive a passing grade from the Mercury Laboratories. Well, this is it, the final stage. Our final 3 test subjects will have 40 seconds to complete the final obstacle. However, there are no penalties, just automatic failure. And this is Widow's Web. Test subjects will have to remove the rope entirely from the 2 metal bars. However, the first and last parts of the rope are tied to the bars, whereas the other parts are simply wrapped around. And now, here is test subject number 8. Will she be able to beat the final stage this time? 3, 2, 1, initiate. And she begins. Makes her way across, getting to the first knot, pulls herself up. She looks like to be struggling, having trouble with her grip. She finally gets to the first knot, holding on to the rope, gets it undone. She looks like she's in trouble. She grabs more rope off, and she falls down. She is out. Final stage claims its first victim. And now, it is time for test subject number 22. Will he be able to reconquer his throne? Let's find out. 3, 2, 1, initiate. And he begins. Moves his way across, having trouble with that first knot. He gets it undone. Now he tries to remove the other parts of the rope. Gets another part off. Gets the third point undone. The rope gathers on his shoulder. Less than 20 seconds left now. He undoes more of the rope. 10 seconds remain. Less than 10 seconds left. 5. He's having trouble with. He still has to do the big knot. 2. Doesn't look like he's going to do it. Unfortunately, 22 will not be winning this time. And now it all comes down to 17. Does he have what it takes to beat the final stage and become the new champion? Or will we go our first test with no winner? 3, let's find out. 2, 1, initiate. He makes his way up. He starts using his strength to get across. Rests on his elbow, gets the first knot off quickly. Starts to push the rope. Hangs on his elbow again, gets another knot off, another knot. Looks like the rope's starting to get a little tangled in him. He has less than 20 seconds left. Looks like he got whipped in the face by the rope. All he has left is the final knot. Will he be able to get it undone in time? 5, he's low on time. 4, 3, and 2, 1. Unfortunately, it looks like that he will not be able to do it. We will have no winner this time around. And with that, this concludes the second edition of the Escape Test. 6 test subjects took on our 4-part obstacle course, and all 6 of them have received failing grades. Thank you for watching, and we hope that you'll join us for more episodes of the Mercury Laboratories.
From the mind of a crazy person, 222 Productions proudly presents a place where willing test subjects take on difficult test experiments. Facing daunting physical and mental tasks, the subjects will have to survive brutal obstacles and demanding limits. Success is unlikely, and those who fail will be immediately removed from the experiment. However, anyone who does succeed will receive a passing grade from the Mercury Laboratories.
Welcome to the Mercury Laboratories. Today, 5 new and 5 returning test subjects will take on the third version of our escape test, simply titled Escape 3. In the first stage of our 4-stage test, test subjects will have 2 minutes to complete an 8-part obstacle course. Any penalties will deduct 5 seconds from their time. First, test subjects will have to cross the scepter. Then, they'll receive a random addition problem at the number cruncher Q, but before they can answer, they have to cross both the Heavenly Traverse and the Dragon's Gate before they can answer it at the number cruncher A. After that, they'll have to cross the parallel bars, the reverse slope climb, and finally, the rope climb. Let's see how they do. First is test subject number 22. In Escape 1, he managed to beat the entire course, but in Escape 2, he was defeated by the final stage. Will he get revenge this time around? Now here is test subject number 22. Now he admitted to having some concerns about his physical condition in this stage. Let's see how he does. Countdown begins, and he is off onto the Deceptor. He gets up those poles nicely. So far he hasn't messed up. Now onto the number cruncher Q. His question is, what is 52 plus 33? If he can get that correct, he will not take any penalties. Gets across the Heavenly Traverse just nicely, although stumbles a little. Onto the Dragon's Gate. Starts to carefully pull himself up, being a little bit more cautious than he has in the past. Gets down nicely and onto the number cruncher Q. He guesses 85, and he is indeed correct. Now onto the parallel bars. He starts making his way across. Looks like he's struggling a little. And he manages to swing his way to the end. Now onto the reverse slope climb. Swings his body around. And now he starts to climb the rope. Getting close to the top, will he make it? And he hits it! And then he falls! But nevertheless, 22 finishes the stage 1, even though he looks a little tired. Up next is test subject number 8.0. Yeah, I know, just go with it. He's a brand new test subject, and let's see how he does on the first stage.
1.
And the clock starts, and he makes his way across the scepter, hopping across, but he lands early and takes a 5-second penalty. His question is, what is 83 plus 74? Let's see if he can figure it out. He hops across the Heavenly Traverse easily, gets onto the Dragon's Gate, gains his balance a little, makes it across very nicely. Now on to the answer of his question. He guesses 157, and he is correct. Now onto the parallel bars, and he launches himself to the other side. No problem. Now to the reverse slope climb, and he drops down in the wrong spot. It looks like he's not quite sure what he was supposed to do with this one, and ends up taking 2 official penalties in the process, but he easily gets to the button at the top of the rope climb, so he passes with plenty of time left despite having a very odd run. Next up is test subject number 8. In both Escape 1 and Escape 2, she was defeated by the final stage. Will the third time be the charm for her? Now here is test subject number 8. Now she reportedly is feeling under the weather today, so we'll see if that affects her run today.
3, 2, 1, initiate.
And she begins, getting across the scepter, hops across the end just nicely. Now onto the number cruncher Q. The question is 19 plus 12. Can she figure it out? She shows confidence. Her
hope she gets it right this time around, because in Escape 2, she got the question wrong. Makes it across the Heavenly Traverse easily, now onto the Dragon's Gate. And she jumps across, gets airborne. Now, moment of truth, she guesses 27 and is correct. Now to the parallel bars. She kicks her legs around wildly, makes it across. Now to the reverse slope climb, swings around, gets to the other side, jumps. She looks like she is tired a little. Now into the rope climb. Looks like she's struggling a little, but she's fighting hard, getting to the top, and she makes it. She hits the button, and so far her condition is not hurting her. And now it's time for another new test subject number 64. He looks very happy to be here. Let's see how he does on the stage 1.
3, 2, 1, initiate.
And he begins his attack, gets across the Deceptor just nicely, no problems there. Now on to the number cruncher Q. His question is, what is 43 plus 84? Let's see if he can figure that out when the time is needed. And he kind of just swing hops his way across and gets across the now is onto the Dragon's Gate, runs across it. Now onto the number cruncher A. He guesses correctly, which was 127. Now onto the parallel bars, and he takes a hard hit. Looked like he tried to jump across like 8.0 did, but now he's hopping across on his hands. Now to the reverse slope climb, swings across just easily. Now for the rope climb. He jumps halfway across, hits the button, tears it off, but he still passes with plenty of time. The last test subject today is test subject number 3. In the last test, he ran into all sorts of problems and was ultimately defeated by the first stage. Will he do better this time around? And now here is test subject number 3, ready to get revenge on the first stage. How will he do this time around?
2,
Countdown begins, and he is off. Onto the Scepter. Makes his way across carefully. Gets to the end, and now onto the number crunchers. Question is, what is 7 plus 26? Looks like he lucked out a little with a relatively easy question. Now into the Heavenly Traverse. He gets across no problem. Now into the Dragon's Gate. This is where he had trouble last time. He manages to keep his balance, and he gets across easily this time around. No problems. Onto the number cruncher A, and he correctly guesses 33. Now into the parallel bars. And he starts swinging wildly a little, but manages to regain composure. Gets across easily onto the reverse slope climb. He gets across very easily, and now onto the rope climb. Plenty of time left. And he hits the button and finishes with the fastest time so far. Today, 5 test subjects took on the first stage, and all of them passed with overall impressive results. Is this a sign of good things to come in the future? Next time, the remaining half of the test subjects take on the first stage. How many of them will pass? Tune in next time to find out.
Mercury Laboratories.
Welcome back. Last time, half the test subjects took on the first stage, and all of them passed. Let's see how this half does. Alright, now here is a brand new test subject. He is test subject 91. Let's see how he does on his very first attempt at the escape test.
3, 2, 1, initiate.
And the clock starts, and he makes his way across the scepter, and takes a big fall. Takes a 5-second penalty. Okay, his question is, what is 39 plus 24? And takes some time to think about it, make sure he got all his numbers straight. Now to the Heavenly Traverse, jumps across, starts making it, and kind of jumps towards the end. And now he is getting on top of Dragon's Gate, makes his way across just nicely, and he makes it. Now to answer his question, he answers 63 and is correct.
Now onto the parallel bars and... hey, wait a minute. Hey, can he do that? Can he... I'm being told that yes, he is allowed to do that, so he just found a major loophole in one of our obstacles after its third version of using it. Alright, now into the rope climb, and he can get up. Okay, he's going to give it another shot. Looks like he's going to take a running start. And oh, he trips again. The clock is ticking. Trying to get to the top. He manages to hold on. Can he reach the top? And he makes it! And he takes a big fall! That had to hurt, but he manages to make it. Test subject number 91 will be moving on to the next stage. Now here is another new test subject. He is test subject number 45. Now he's rather tall, and if history has taught us anything, is that tall people tend to do relatively well on the first stage. Let's see how he does.
2, 1, initiate.
And he makes his way across, and he hops across the posts of the Deceptor, not even having to touch the bars. And his question is, what is 32 plus 28? And he leaves almost right away. Doesn't seem to trip him up at all about thinking. Now he gets himself on top of the Dragon's Gate. No problem. Now the answering. He answers 60 quickly, and it is correct. Now on to the parallel bars, and he's crab walking now. First we had a butt slide, now we have a crab walk. These people have completely exploited a major flaw in the parallel bars that we never thought of. Now on to the rope climb. He has plenty of time. Will he make it? And he easily touches the bun with plenty of time to spare. Test subject number 45, making it look like nothing. Next up is test subject number 17. In his first performance, he made it to the second stage, but was unfortunately stopped by the Satan's Cross. How will he do this time around? And now here is test subject number 87, who has made his way onto the course at the starting line. Now he's expressed some concern about this stage, specifically the rope climb, but he's expressed concern before first stage last time and he passed, so let's see how he does.
Initiate.
And he makes his way, and he loses his balance and unfortunately takes a 5-second penalty. Nothing too bad, doesn't mess up anymore. His question is, what is 13 plus 66? Doesn't take too long to look at it as he moves on to the Heavenly Traverse. Taking his time across, make sure he doesn't get careless. And looks like he's struggling a little at the end, but he makes it across no problem. Now onto the Dragon's Gate. Taking more of a methodical approach he is, as he carefully gains his balance, makes his way across easily. Now to answer his question, he guesses 79 and is indeed correct. Now onto the parallel bars, and I'm going to bet that he's going to exploit it somehow. Oh look, he does. He sits on it also, and he slides his way across. Boy, we really need to fix that obstacle for next time around. Oh well. He makes his way onto the reverse slope climb. Now only one obstacle remains, and that is the rope climb. Let's see how he does. Makes his way to it. He grabs the rope and he starts to make his way up, and he unfortunately slips. And he wraps his arm around the rope to perhaps help hold him up, and he slips again. Looks like he's going to try to. He's going to run at it, and he still can't get up. By the way, what do you think of this music? I personally like the music. And anyway, he has he's trying hard. The 10-second warning has gone off. Looks like he's struggling a lot. Doesn't look like he's going to make it. Can he make it? He's making his way up. And he just ran out of time. Unfortunately, he will not be moving on to the second stage. And now here is our final new test subject. He is test subject number 42. Let's see how he does on his first try at the escape test.
3, 2, 1, initiate.
And he begins on the Deceptor. Gets across very nicely.
and he makes his way to number cruncher Q. His question is, what is 89 plus 98? Hey, look, the numbers just flip-flop. Hey, he jumps up and gets a good height on the Heavenly Traverse, keeping his elbows bent at 90-degree angles. Makes his way across the Dragon's Gate just nicely. And now he answers his question. He answers 187 correctly, and now onto parallel bars, and he too does a crab walk. And looks like no one will ever do this normally again. Anyway, onto the reverse slope climb, and he actually walks over the top, makes his way over to the rope climb. Plenty of time still left in the clock. He makes his way up, and he hits the button and finishes with plenty of time, and he too will be moving on to the second stage. Last but not least is test subject number 17. Twice now he's been thwarted by the final stage. Will he get revenge this time around? And now here is test subject 17 himself. Looks like he is pumped and ready to go. Let's see how he will do this time around.
3, 2, 1.
And the clock starts, and he makes his way across the scepter. So far making it across nicely, and he makes it across. And so his question is, what is 9 plus 38? Number 17 being lucky enough to get a single-digit number. Let's see if that helps him. And he easily makes it across the Heavenly Traverse, keeping his elbows bent and pretty much just jumping across. Gets across the Dragon's Gate just nicely, and now to answer the question, and he looks like he forgot. Oh, no, wait, he answers 47. And he's right. Now he gets onto the parallel bars, and oh, he almost loses it, but miraculously manages to save himself right before hitting the ground. So he is safe, and now onto the reverse slope climb. Shouldn't be a oh, wait a minute. And he takes a penalty, and alright, well, here's the rope climb. He should have no problem with this due to him being very tall. He can just climb up. No problem. He's almost there. He can just reach out and hit the button, and he's almost, and he falls. And okay, let's try this again. And he's going to try to get up slowly, and he's stuck again. And he just jumps up and hits the button. That was rather anticlimactic at the end, but nevertheless, he too will be moving on to the second stage. Let's see if he can make it all the way to the final stage and then beat it this time. And so, 9 test subjects have cleared the first stage with outstanding results and must now brave the second stage. Next time, it's the second stage. How will the survivors do? Tune in next time to find out.
Mercury Laboratories.
It is now time for the second stage. Here, test subjects will have 1 minute and 25 seconds to complete a 6-part obstacle course. Penalties will deduct 10 seconds from their time. First, test subjects will have to take on the pillar attack. Using the bar provided for them, they'll have to climb the obstacle and knock down a bone located at the top. Once the bone has been knocked down, test subjects are allowed to dismount the obstacle any way they choose. After that, they have to get through the crawl space, and then on to quiz time, where they'll have to answer a letter order-based question from the quizmaster. However, regardless of whether they get it right or wrong, they still have to jump from the beam that they're standing on, similar to how the turn jump was done in Test 1. Then is the hurdle, followed by the Executioner 3, now harder, and finally is the corner dash. Let's see how these guys will do this time around. Alright, now here is test subject number 45. Let's see how he does on the second stage.
1. Initiate.
And he grabs the bar and starts on the pillar attack. And he successfully gets the bone off the pillar, and oh, he almost loses balance there. Let's see. And he makes his way safely to the crawl space. He gets through the paper with no problem. Now onto the quiz time. And the quizmaster asks him what comes 3 before W. And he's taking a little bit of time to think about it. And he answers T and is correct. Now he makes a little jump, and now on to the hurdle. He gets over nice and easily. The Executioner 3 Easily grabs the bar, starts making his way over, transfers over to the second bar. Now he has to build up his momentum and try to make the jump. He has plenty of time still. He's really pumping those legs now. He makes it, and oh, he just falls off at the end. However, he still has enough time to move on to the third stage. And now here is test subject number 17. He looks very energetic to be here. Let's see if he does better in the second stage than he did in the first.
2, 1, initiate.
And he is off. He grabs the bar and makes his way off to the pillar attack. Takes a brief moment, mixes onto the vertical pillars, and he pushes the bone off successfully, drops the bar, and now makes his way over to the crawl space. And his height will not hinder him at all with this one, as he makes his way over to the quiz time, where the quiz master asks him, "What comes two before you?" He takes a moment to think about it, and he correctly guesses S. And he almost forgot about the jump off the small part, but he made his way back, and now he gets over to the hurdle, jumps over it, no problem. Now onto the Executioner 3. Shouldn't have a problem here. And he jumps, grabs the bar easily. Now he starts making his way over. Switches over the second bar. Now he starts pumping it up, trying to build his momentum. Will he be able to make it? He jumps, and on his tippy toes, he just mixes around the corner and makes it in time, and he will be making it to the third stage. How many more will join him? And now up next is test subject number 64. He did an excellent job in the first stage. Let's see how he does in the second stage.
2, 1, initiate.
And he grabs the bar and makes his way off to the pillar attack. Gets onto the second pillar, successfully knocks down a bone, and now makes his way back and towards the crawl space. And he's there, and the wind is blowing all the paper up, so he doesn't have to worry about them. Now into quiz time. The quiz master asks him, "What is 1 before X?" He takes a brief moment, quickly answers W. He is correct, makes the jump onto the hurdle, and without using his hands, leaps in a single bound, then quickly jumps and is quickly moving through the Executioner 3, a quick jump, and in amazingly fast time, this number 64 will be moving on to the third stage. That was an absolutely amazing run. I can't believe he went very fast. Wow. Alright, now here's test subject number 42. Let's see how he does in the second stage.
2, 1, initiate.
He grabs the bar and he is off onto the pillar attack. Mixing his way up nicely. Starts to almost lost his balance there. Manages to regain it, knocks down the bone, and now makes his way back down. No problem, onto the crawl space now. And the wind once again helping our test subjects. Now into the quiz time. His question is, what is 3 before W? Wait a minute, we just got this question. Wow, what are the odds? Well, anyway, he guesses T and is correct. Wow, that's a lot of luck. I mean, there were a lot of choices in there. Anyway, he makes his way on to the Executioner, and looks like the rolling of the bar took him by surprise. Now he's got to try to build up his momentum for that jump. Starts swaying his legs left and right, well, forward and back. And he jumps, makes it. Now makes it around the corner, and he finishes with plenty of time on the clock. And he too will be moving on to the third stage. This time, 4 of our 9 Stage 2 test subjects took on the second stage, and all 4 of them will be moving on to the third stage. How will the other 5 do? Next time, the remaining 5 test subjects take on the second stage. Who will pass? Who will fail? Tune in next time to find out.
The Mercury Laboratories.
Welcome back. Last time, 4 test subjects took on the second stage, and all 4 of them passed. Let's see how the other 5 would do. Alright, now first up today is test subject 8.0. Let's see how he does on the second stage.
Initiate.
When he's off and he starts to make his way across the pillar attack. Taking his time, make sure he keeps his balance. He knocks off the bone and he makes his way back, and now onto the crawl space. He gets across very easily. The wind assists him with the paper. Now I get to the quiz time. His question is, what is 3 before S? He's taking some time to think about it. He answers P, and it is correct. Now he makes the jump and gets over the hurdle easily. Onto the executioner 3. He jumps and grabs on very easily. Makes his way to the other side, grabs the second bar. Now he starts swinging to make sure he can make that jump. He jumps and oh, he is short. And now he goes and rushes. And oh, he misses the button, but he makes it back in time to hit it, and he will be moving on to the third stage. So with the very interesting end there, but 8.0 will be moving on to stage 3. Alright, now here is test subject number 22, and he is now ready to take on the second stage. Let's see how he does.
3, 2, 1. Initiate.
And the clock starts, and he's off onto the pillar attack. Oh, almost loses his balance for a second there, but he is doing just fine, gains his composure, knocks down the bone, and now he makes his way back across without falling and hurting himself. And now onto the crawl space, and uses his hands to block the paper from hitting his face. Now onto quiz time. His question is, what comes 2 before H? He takes a moment to think about it. He answers F, and it is correct. Now onto the hurdle. Gets over just fine, and now onto the executioner 3, and he gets ready, and I guess he didn't like that run. He's going to try to run again, and he jumps, and he grabs onto the bar, and wildly starts swinging while making his way across, makes the transition, and now he starts pumping up those legs, getting a lot of arc in that swing. He jumps, and he makes it, and now around the corner, and in a diving effort, he hits the button, and will be moving on to the third stage as well. Very impressive run by 22. Alright, now here is test subject 91. Let's see how he'll do on the second stage.
2, 1. Initiate.
Clock starts, so he's making his way over to the pillar attack. He gets up just fine, and starts to lose his balance a little bit. He recovers, he gets the bone down, now makes his way across over to the crawl space. He gets under just fine. Now he gets over to quiz time, and his question is, what comes 3 before D? He answers B, and that is incorrect. The correct answer is A. So he takes a 10-second penalty. Now he has to make his way over to the hurdle. Gets over it just fine. Onto the executioner, makes the jump, and he grabs on, and he seems to be struggling, and makes a desperate attempt to jump. Doesn't make it in time. It's not a 10-second penalty, but still has enough time on the clock to make it to the third stage. Test subject number 91 is moving on. And now here is test subject number 8, who is still feeling under the weather. Will that hurt her here?
Initiate.
She makes her way across to the pillar attack. Almost loses her balance for a second. Gets on second pillar, knocks down the bone just fine, but gets her way down. Taking a different way to get across, and goes underneath the crawl space just fine. Now on to quiz time. The question is, what comes 3 before X? And she seems to be drawing a blank. She's thinking about it. She guesses T, and that is incorrect. Her answer is U, and oh no, unfortunately, it appears that she may have forgotten that she was supposed to jump there, and so she's taken 2 penalties right there. And then she makes it that's a 3rd penalty right there, and she knows she doesn't have enough time now to finish the executioner, because she would still have to go across, and unfortunately, test subject number 8 has timed out and will not be moving on to the third stage. And now last but certainly not least for the second stage is test subject number 3. Let's see how he'll do.
1. Initiate.
And he gets onto the pillar attack and starts to, looks like he's wobbling a little, but holding his balance long enough to get the bone down. Now he makes his way across the crawl space, no problem. Now on to quiz time. This question is, what comes 2 before N? Takes a brief pause, and answers L and is correct. And oh, he almost forgot about the extra jump off the beam, and there he goes. He jumps, stumbles a little, but he still made the gap. Gets over the hurdle just fine. Now into the executioner, he jumps, grabs onto the bar, shuffles his way across, makes the transition. He starts building up his momentum. And, oh, so close, his hand fell out of bounds. But fortunately, he still has enough time, and test subject number 3 will also be moving on to the 3rd stage. And so, we've had 9 test subjects take on the 2nd stage, and 8 of them passed. How will they do in the brand new 3rd stage, which is even harder than last time? Next time, the test subjects take on the new 3rd stage. Will any of them have what it takes to take on its new terrors? Tune in next time to find out.
The Mercury Laboratories.
It is now time for the 3rd stage, which is divided into 2 parts, a mental part and a physical part. First, test subjects will have 10 seconds to take on the 10-second showdown, which is a math problem which requires test subjects to both add and subtract numbers. If they get the question right, then they'll have 1 minute 50 seconds on the physical portion of the course, but if they get it wrong, they'll only have 1 minute 40 seconds on the course. Either way, penalties will deduct 20 seconds from their time. In the physical portion of the stage, test subjects will first have to take on the anchor hoist, followed by the possum tracks, and then Satan's cross, and then after that it's the monkey gap, and finally the pole hanger. Who will survive? Let's find out. Alright, now first up is test subject number 8.0. How will he do in the 3rd stage? Let's find out. And this question is, what is 33 plus 17 minus negative 7? The answer is 57, and that is indeed correct. He will have 1 minute 50 seconds on the clock when it is time to go for the physical portion.
3.
Now here he is.
1. Initiate.
And he's off. Makes his way onto the anchor hoist. He starts pulling that rope wildly, and weight gets a little airborne. He makes it up very nicely. Now onto the possum tracks. Now the rule is you have to be upside down like a possum, and you're allowed to dismount once you touch the wood portion of the other side, and as he did so with his foot. And now he's making his way over to the Satan's cross, where he gets on top rather easily using those long legs of his. He makes his way down, and he makes the jump very easily. And now onto the monkey gap, and he didn't have to jump that distance, but he did anyway. But unfortunately, he messed up the gap part. There's a tape portion that you're not allowed to touch, and he did, and he's taken a 20-second penalty, and now he's having trouble with the pole hanger, and he takes another penalty, and looks like he's giving up. He's not going to make it. And unfortunately, we have lost one already. Test subject number 8.0 will not be moving on to the final stage. And it is now time for test subject number 91 to try the 3rd stage. How will he do?
1.
And his question is, what is 39 plus 77 minus negative 2? Do you know? Well, unfortunately, time has expired. The correct answer was 118. You will have 1 minute 40 seconds to complete the next part of the stage. The clock starts, and he makes his way immediately to the anchor hoist. He grabs the rope and starts climbing the incline a little, and gets the weight up easily, up and over. Now he goes up and over, carefully. Now onto the possum tracks. And he starts moving in the different direction than 8.0 did. Touches the wood, now moves on over to the Satan's cross. And he jumps up, and he looks to be stuck a little. Looks like he's trying to wrap his legs around the bar, and unfortunately he falls. Makes his way over now to the monkey gap. This is the right way to do it. You just have to walk over to it. Now you see that wood tape area, and oh! Couldn't make the jump, and now onto the pole hanger where he has no time left, and looks like he has no strength left either. Unfortunately, test subject number 91 also will not be moving on to the final stage. Alright, it's now time for 64 to take on the third stage. Will he be the first to pass?
2, 1,
And
initiate.
his question is, what is 25 plus 42 minus 5? He guesses 62 and is indeed correct. He will have 1 minute 50 seconds on the clock. Now he's at the
3,
physical portion of the stage,
1,
and he starts. Makes his way over to the anchor hoist, and he jumps up halfway up the anchor hoist. Gets the weight up quickly, almost slipped on the rope. Hops over and now onto the possum tracks, and is sliding across very quickly. Reaches the end just fine. And now onto Satan's Cross. He jumps up, gets a knee on, steadies himself, making sure he doesn't lose his balance. Makes his way down, jumps to the landing area and makes it now onto the monkey gap. Now he jumps up, reaches the tape area, he gets across just nicely, and reaches the other side just fine. He has plenty of time left, and now he has to reach the pole hanger. He jumps up, makes his way up to the second level. Now he has to do a swing, and even if he takes a penalty, and oh, he does, but he still has enough time, and he is the first person to move on to the final stage. And he looks very tired. And it is now time for test subject number 22 to take on the third stage. Will he make it to the final stage for the third consecutive time?
initiate.
And his question is, what is 29 plus 74 minus 14? Time has expired. The correct answer was 89. He will have 1 minute 40 seconds to run the rest of the course.
3, 2, 1, initiate.
And he starts and makes his way over to the anchor hoist, where he jumps up, gets to the very top, and starts pulling the rope through his legs. The weight now reaches him. He grabs the weight, gets it over, and gets on to the next obstacle, possum tracks. Let's see how he does here. Gets his feet on and starts moving across. He's been rather slow compared to everyone else so far. Looks like he's tiring already. Trying to get across. And he touches and then he falls, but he touches. That's the important part. He just made it. Now into Satan's Cross. Gets his balance and does it nice and easily. Jumps, no problem. Now into the monkey gap. Jumps onto the bar. He reaches the gap portion. He's got to cross it. Looks like just barely made it. Now he reaches the other side, no problem. Now for the pole hanger. He's running low on time. It looks like he'll have to have a flawless run if he wants to move on to the final stage. Makes his way up. Gets to the final part. Now he's 1 and 1 with this jump. Will he be able to make it? And he does! And number 22 will be moving on to the final stage for the third consecutive time. He too looks very, very tired. So far, 4 test subjects have taken on the third stage, but only 2 of them have passed. Will any more be able to join? Next time, the second half of the test subjects take on the third stage. How many of them will pass and be able to make it to the final stage? Tune in next time to find out. The Mercury Laboratories. Welcome back. Last time, 4 test subjects took on the third stage, but only 2 of them passed. How will the other 4 do? Let's find out. First up for this episode is test subject number 17. Will he make it to the final stage for the third consecutive time?
Initiate.
And his question is, what is 44 plus 85 minus 8? and time has expired. The correct answer was 121. He will only have 1 minute 40 seconds to complete the rest of the course. How will he do?
3, 2, 1. Initiate.
The timer starts and he makes his way over to the anchor hoist. He gets 1 foot on the obstacle, perfectly legal. Starts pulling on the rope and it gets over. Now he starts to go over. And now he makes his way over to the possum tracks. Gets his legs on. And starts shuffling his way across just nicely. His foot touches and now he makes his way over to Satan's Cross. He has a history with his obstacle. How will he do this time around? He seems to be getting on just nicely. Once he starts to gain his balance, stands up straight, makes his way across, and he gets over to the other side, now into the monkey gap. Reaches the gap portion, crosses just fine, and oh dear, he has fallen. He has lost 20 seconds off the clock. He still has enough time though, because he's very good at the pole hanger. He gets his leg over, swings to the other side. Now all he has to do is jump the gap. Does that just nicely, makes his way across, and for the 3rd consecutive time, test subject number 17 will be moving on to the final stage. Next up is test subject number 45. Will he be able to make it to the final stage as well? And his question is, what is 79 plus 10 minus 3? And he quickly answers 86 and is correct. He will have 1 minute 50 seconds.
1. Initiate.
Clock starts and he makes his way over to the anchor hoist. Stands on the small post of the anchor hoist. Then he moves up towards the top. He pulls the rope. Gets it up and over. And now he goes up and over. Now onto the possum tracks. He gets onto the track. Starts sliding his way across just nicely. Touches the other side with his foot and now onto the Satan's Cross. He gets up to it. Pulls himself up, holds his balance, starts walking across. No problem so far. Onto the safety pad, no problem. Now onto the monkey gap. Crosses the gap nicely, makes his way to the other side, and now onto the pole hanger. Plenty of time still left on the clock. Will he be able to make it to the final stage on his first try at the escape test? Oh, he almost slips, but he manages to get back on without falling. He's on the 2nd bar. He's trying to jump for it, reaches the end. Can he converse the gap? He reaches his feet out, makes it to the other side, and test subject 45 also will be making it to the final stage. And now here is test subject number 42. Will he become the 5th person to make it to the final stage? And the clock starts and his question is, what is 98 plus 25 minus 16? He answers 107 and is indeed correct. He will have 1 minute 50 seconds on the clock for the remainder of the course.
3, 2, 1. Initiate.
The clock starts, he makes his way over to the anchor hoist. He puts 1 foot on the obstacle and starts pulling on the rope. Weight gets a little caught at the top, but he makes it anyway. Gets up and over, now onto the possum tracks. He gets into position and starts sliding his knees and hands across very quickly. Touches the other side with his foot and now onto the Satan's Cross. He jumps on top, slowly gets himself on top of the obstacle, balances himself nicely. He holds his balance, jumps and makes it to the safe zone, now onto the possum tracks. He grabs on, traverses the gap, starts making his way across, trying to reach the other side. Looks a little stuck, and he finally reaches it. Now 1 obstacle left, the pole hanger. He's running low on time, so he has to do this in 1 go. Tries to wrap his legs around the wooden post. He gets a grip, makes his way to the 2nd bar. Gets onto the 2nd bar, starts moving. Looks to be straining a little. Reaches the end. He has to make this jump. Will he make it? He starts swinging. He jumps and oh no, he couldn't make it in time. Test subject number 42 will not be moving on to the final stage, but it's still a great effort on his part. And now the final person to take on the third stage is test subject number 3. And his question is, what is 92 plus 74 minus 21? Just in the nick of time, he answers 1:45 and is correct. He will have 1 minute 50 seconds on the clock. 2, 1, initiate. Clock starts and he makes his way over to the anchor hoist. He gets on the obstacle. He starts pulling fast and whoa! Almost takes the weight to the face. Fortunately, he is okay and now he makes his way over to the possum tracks. Moving just nicely despite the fact that his life probably just flashed before his eyes. Now to the Satan's Cross. He gets a leg over and oh god, oh boy. How is that not hurting him? Honestly, oh god. He completes the Satan's Cross just fine, but that's all you gotta say to that. Anyway, he reaches the gap portion of the monkey gap, gets across nicely. Makes his way to the end of the obstacle, and now on to the pole hanger. And despite having a weight almost take his face off, and now he's fallen off of the pole hanger. He's probably lost his testicles to the Satan's Cross, but he still has enough time to make it to the final stage. An amazing run from test subject number 3. A very interesting one too. The third stage has come, and it has also passed. Out of our 8 test subjects, 5 of them have took on the third stage and beaten it, and will now have to face the dangerous final stage. Next time, it's the final stage. Does anyone have what it takes to conquer the Widow's Web? Tune in next time to find out.
The Mercury Laboratories.
It is now time for the final stage. Test subjects only have 40 seconds to complete the final obstacle, but they have to be careful. Any slip-ups will result in automatic failure. And once again, here is Widow's Web. Test subjects will have to remove all the rope from the metal and wood structure and then make their way back to the button before time runs out. Will any of them be able to do it? First up is test subject number 3. With an amazing improvement since test 2, how will he do on the final stage? And the clock starts. And he starts pulling himself up, taking a different strategy than what we've seen in the previous test. He knocks down the goal sign, but he manages to undo the first knot and starts slowly shifting over. He's pushing the rope with his hands while staying up. Gets everything to one side and uses the wood to brace his feet. Consuming an awful lot of time though, he starts undoing all the rope. Has about 5 seconds left on the clock though.
4, 3, 2, 1.
And unfortunately, he just ran out of time. Although an amazing improvement from the last time he was here, but unfortunately, he will not be winning. Now here's number 45, let's see how he does.
Initiate.
The clock starts and he makes his way. He starts moving slowly on the Widow's Web. Reaches out, grabs the first knot, undoes it. Now he too is pushing everything along to one side. Uses the wood to help him brace his legs. He undoes the... he went to go to undo that on the other side. Now he starts untangling the rope. And 10 seconds! Just whipped the rope into his inner thigh, and that looked like it hurt, but unfortunately, test subject number 45 is also out. And now it's test subject number 17's turn. Will he finally be able to beat the final stage?
2, 1.
Time starts and Just starts pushing all the rope onto one side. Grabs on, starts undoes the back knot, starts untangling it. It looks like the rope starts retangling himself, and it looks like he might have made more of a mess than he had hoped for. And it looks like he realized that he hurt himself more than helped, and unfortunately, test subject number 17 will not be winning this time around either. And now it's time for test subject number 22. Will he be able to get revenge on the Widow's Web?
2, 1, initiate.
Clock starts and he jumps up, grabs one bar and instantly undoes the first knot. Starts moving across and undoes one part of the rope, undoes another part of the rope. Moving across very nicely, much faster than he did last time. Hanging by one arm, he takes up a large part of the rope, and now he starts undoing the knot. Gets it all completely undone. Still has more than 10 seconds left on the clock.
10 seconds.
And amazingly, he has done it! Test subject number 22 has beaten the Widow's Web, making him a 2-time total champion. Great job by him. An amazing effort indeed. And last up is number 64. Will he become the second person to defeat the dreaded Widow's Web?
2, 1, initiate.
Clock starts and he jumps up and he instantly undoes the first knot. Starts undoing the rope even more. Has very nice form so far. Gets much more of the rope undone. Starts making his way across. Some of the rope he tried to undo went back done. He undoes the back knot.
10 seconds remain.
Oh, one part of the rope still remained. He got the rest of it done. Now he's got to move. Less than 5 seconds now.
4, 3.
And he makes it too! And amazingly, we will have 2 winners, both 64 and 22. 64 just making it underneath the wire. A great job by him throughout this entire competition. An amazing effort. Great job. And so, we end the 3rd edition of the escape test with not just 1, but 2 winners. Both 22 and 64 took on the Widow's Web and will be the only 2 people receiving passing grades. Thank you for watching. We hope that you will enjoy future episodes of the Mercury Laboratories.
Well, this is simply unacceptable. We must lower the time limits, increase the penalties, change the course completely. We must make sure that they never pass the escape test. Ever.
The Mercury Laboratories.
Welcome to a place where people are rigorously tested. A place that tests a person both physically and mentally. A place where some pass, but most fail. Welcome to the Mercury Laboratories.
Hello and welcome to a special lost footage episode of the Mercury Laboratories. Back in Test 3, there were a few Stage 3 runs that had to be redone. For example, Test Subject number 42 got to rerun the course due to a misunderstanding of the rules. In addition to Test Subject number 42, Test Subject number 64 had to rerun the course. Originally, number 64 was the first person to run Stage 3, but instead of the monkey gap, the bar slider was in its place. And after number 64 ran the course, it was decided to replace the bar slider with the monkey gap due to technical issues. So here's what Test Subject number 64's original Stage 3 run looked like. And to close off Test 3, here's a look at Test Subject number 8.0's original Stage 3 run. The run had to be restarted due to some technical difficulties.
One, go! He has a minute 50. Failure! I think we should give Brendan a second try due to technical difficulties.
Who did that?
I'm just waiting to see on the video. Failure!
Who did that?
I need the worst Alex. It's 5 pound weight's enormous.
Would it be easier just to...
Seriously, Adam, what the fuck? No, don't get the greatest core.
Welcome to a place where people are rigorously tested. A place that tests a person both physically and mentally. A place where some pass, but most fail. Welcome to the Mercury Laboratories. Welcome to the Mercury Laboratories. Today is our 4th test, which is appropriately titled Escape 4. And to be honest, us here at the Mercury Laboratories is tired of people getting a high success rate, since after all, more than 50% of the people who have ever taken on the escape test have made it to the final stage. So, we decided to make the course a lot harder, and we invited the only 2 people to make it to the final stage all 3 times, 22 and 17, to take on the course. For stage 1, 22 and 17 will have 1 minute 25 seconds to get through the obstacle course, and penalties will deduct 10 seconds from their time. First, test subjects will have to get past the rock path, then the number cruncher EXQ, then to the metal track, followed by the super hurdles, the Deceptor, the number cruncher EXA, the heavenly delivery, and finally, the rope climb. How will they do? Up first is test subject number 22. In both test 1 and test 3, he managed to beat the final stage. Let's see if he can do it all again one more time. He gives a pose, and he gets ready for the signal to start.
3, 2, 1.
And he sets off. Starts on the rock path, getting across alternating bricks right onto the number cruncher EXQ. His question is, what is 58 plus 60? He's got to memorize the answer to that number, and he'll answer it later on in the course in the number cruncher EXA. Now he's on the metal track. He's got to get across without knocking over either of the bars, and he does that very nicely. Now into the super hurdles. First is a slanted hurdle that has a gap both on the front and the back, so you have to be very careful when traversing this. He gets across. Then it's the original hurdle with a gap in the front, and he looks a little timid crossing this, and he gets over. About 45 seconds of the clock, he's now onto the scepter, keeping his balance very nicely, gets to the end, and now to answer his question, he gets onto the bar, and he answers 118, and that is indeed correct. Now onto the heavenly delivery. Now with this one, you gotta grab the can with your feet, and then travel to the end and drop it in the box. If the can does not land in the box, you get a penalty, and oh, just like that, he gets a penalty, and now he's down to 10 seconds. I should remind everyone that it's very cold right now. He looks like...
3, 2, 1.
And, oh, he came very close, but in a shocking revelation, he has timed out. It appears that both the extreme cold that we're experiencing and just the course, it just tired him out. He was a little too timid at one point, and he looks very disappointed. That's too bad. Now here is test subject number 17. In the past, he has made it to the final stage on all 3 occasions, but he has come very close, but not actually beating it. And he looks ready. He looks pumped.
2, 1. Initiate.
Onto the rock path. He's getting across. Oh, almost had a stumble. And, apparently he has forgotten a rule that he was told that he had to jump to the platform, so he took a 5-second penalty. Anyway, a 10-second penalty. So anyway, his question is 84 plus 39. Let's see if he can remember it. He's getting across the metal track very nicely. Now onto the hurdles. This is what played a big factor in 22 losing. It was very slow here, and 17 flying through the super hurdles, no problem, saving him a lot of time. Only slightly behind the pace that 22 is at the moment. Now he has to answer 84:39. He answers 123, and that is indeed correct. Now into the heavenly delivery. He grabs the can, tries it, oh, and he drops it. Wasn't able to hold on to his feet. He has 10 seconds left. Will he be able to get up the rope in time? And he's struggling. And he makes it! He makes it with 3.2 seconds left. 17 survives and will be moving on to stage 2. The journey continues for test subject number 17. And he sure does look happy. Two men started the first stage, but only one of them passed. 17 survive and 22 is going home. Next time, test subject number 17 takes on the second stage. Will his journey continue, or will this test end early? Tune in next time to find out. Welcome to a place where people are rigorously tested. A place that tests a person both physically and mentally. A place where some pass, but most fail. Welcome to the Mercury Laboratories. Welcome to the second stage. Test subject 17 will have 1 minute 35 seconds to complete an even harder course than before. Penalties will deduct 15 seconds from his time. First, test subject 17 will have to get past the weight carry. After that is the albatross cross. Then is the whip swing, followed by the balance poles. Then it's the dragon's quiz, the crawl space, pillar path, and finally the hill dash. How will he do? Let's find out. And here is test subject number 17, and he looks ready to go. He'll be the only one taking on stage 2, and he has 1 minute 35 to do it.
2, 1.
Will he complete it? The clock starts, and he picks up the big backpack that's full of plenty of weights. He has to go around the perimeter and then get onto the beams that are in the middle of the square. He's gotta be careful because some of them do move. Gets to the end, now he's allowed to drop it and get on the albatross cross. He has to grab the first pole, jump the gap, and then transfer to the second pole going back. And oh, he's not able to hold himself up. He takes a 15-second penalty. Now he's trying the second pole, which has an even longer gap. No, he's going to try to jump it. And oh, he comes up short. Time is now short on him too. About 20 seconds left. He gets across the whip swing very nicely. Now he has to get across the balance poles. He cannot afford any more mistakes, and oh! Just too many mistakes. Test subject number 17 was unable to complete the course. This is a real shame. Unfortunately, test 4 ends at the second stage. Well, that makes my job easier. I think I'm gonna get a sandwich. With test subject number 17's departure, test 4 must now end early in only the second stage. Next time, we dive right into test 5 as more test subjects take on a redesigned first stage. How will they do? Tune in next time to find out. Welcome to a place where people are rigorously tested. A place that tests a person both physically and mentally. A place where some pass, but most fail. Welcome to the Mercury Laboratories. Welcome back. We are now diving right into test number 5, which is appropriately titled Escape 5. This time we managed to convince 4 test subjects to take on the first stage. Boy, do they have no idea what they're getting themselves into. For stage 1, test subjects will have 1 minute 30 seconds to make it through our altered course. Penalties will deduct 10 seconds from their time. First, test subjects will have to get past the rock line, followed by the number cruncher EXQ. After that, they'll have to get past the metal track, and then it's the weight hurdles, followed by the weight deceptor. After that, they'll have to get past the number cruncher EXA, Heaven's Gate, and finally, the rope climb. How will they do? Our first test subject today is test subject number 45. Last time we saw him was in test 3, where he made it all the way to the final stage. How will he do in this time around? He gets ready for the starting signal.
3, 2, 1, initiate.
The clock starts and he begins on the rock path. And and he forgot that he had to jump to the number cruncher EXQ. That's going to cost him 10 seconds. Anyway, his question for the number cruncher is 64 plus 85. Hopefully he can remember the answer by the time he reaches the number cruncher EXA. Now up next is the weight carry. He has to carry that backpack that he currently put on and then go over 2 hurdles with it on. Now that backpack is very heavy, and if you're not careful, it will bring you down. You go over the slanted hurdle just fine, and he falls down on the normal hurdle. Now with the backpack still on, he has to cross the deceptor. Can he hold his balance? And he makes it. Now he can drop the backpack, which he does. And now the number cruncher EXA. Can he remember what the answer is? And he forgot what he was supposed to say. And now he's got to get across the Heaven's Gate, and unfortunately, too many penalties. Test subject number 45 has been eliminated from this test. Up next is test subject number 22. Last time in test 4 he had some troubles and failed in the first stage. Will he be able to make up for his loss this time around? Let's see how he does. He waits for the starting signal.
3, 2, 1, initiate.
The clock starts and he makes his way across the lock path. He jumps onto the number cruncher EXQ, and his question is, what is 11 plus 46? He'll have to memorize the answer by the time he gets to the number cruncher EXA. Now on to the metal track. He has to make sure that none of those bars fall off of the track as he crosses. He's being very careful. So far nothing has fallen. And he reaches the other side. Now onto the weight hurdles. He gets the backpack. It's very heavy, so he has to be very careful when crossing the hurdles. He gets to the first hurdle, slanted hurdle. He makes his way over carefully. Last time he lost, he failed because he lost a lot of time. Hopefully he'll be able to pick up the pace, and oh my! The backpack swung him around the hurdle, bringing him to the ground. He's able to get himself up. He's down to about 35 seconds right now. He's carefully making his way across the scepter. He does so. He drops the backpack, now onto the number cruncher EXA. He answers 57 and is indeed correct. Now on a Heaven's Gate, it's 1 bar you have to make across. He is running low on time. He needs to make sure he picks up the pace in the rope climb. He's running. He's low on time. He has to climb quickly.
5,
He has to give it everything he's got. He had a lot of trouble last time trying to climb this obstacle. Will he do it? Oh! And once again, test subject number 22 runs out of time on the rope climb. Such a shame. Next up to try the course is test subject number 42. Last time we saw him, it was in test 3 when he fell victim to the 3rd stage. How will he do this time around?
3, 2, 1. Initiate.
The clock starts and he makes his way across the rock line, jumps onto the number cruncher EXQ, and his question is, what is 47 plus 37? He'll have to memorize that as he makes his way across the metal track. He has to be careful not to knock any of them over. He seems to have moved the first one, and oh, it fell down. That's a 10-second penalty right there. He's going to have to move a little bit faster now to make sure he reaches the end, and he does. Now he's going to grab the backpack and make his way over to the weight hurdles. He gets it on. And makes his way over. Onto the slanted hurdle first. He gets over easily. Now onto the regular hurdle. He gets over. And oh, he stumbles a little. And now he makes his way onto the Deceptor. And oh, he gives up and tries to save time by not wasting time, knowing he'll get a penalty. And oh, he falls on Heaven's Gate and has unfortunately run out of time. He too has failed the first stage. But it looks like he's going to try to beat the rope climb anyway. And he does, with his foot. Good job. And now it all comes down to test subject number 17. In the last test, he beat the first stage. But if he fails here, test 5 will end immediately.
3, 2, 1. Initiate.
The clock starts and he makes his way across the line path very carefully. Gets on a number cruncher EXQ. Didn't make the same mistakes last time. And his question is, what is... Wow. Wow, that is lucky. 47 plus 1. That... If he gets this wrong, I just have no respect for him. Anyway, he makes it across the metal track. So far, so good. Not knocking down any of the bars. And oh, he stands up and gets across. No problem. He grabs the backpack for the weight hurdles. Taking too much time, it seems, to get the backpack on. And that was a little unnecessary. Anyway, so he gets on over to the hurdles. First, the slanted hurdle. Using his height to his advantage, he gets over no problem. Now to the regular hurdle. Easily steps over. The backpack does not disorient him in any way. Now onto the Deceptor. And he loses his balance and he loses time. He's down to less than 20 seconds. He can do this if he doesn't have any more mistakes. He gets it right away. Answers 48. Now across Heaven's Gate. He cannot afford any more mistakes. Less than 10 seconds remaining. Will stage 5... Will the 5th test end here, or will he be able to beat it?
2, 1.
Times against him, and unfortunately, test subject number 17 has also failed the first stage. Test 5 ends here. Well. Looks like we managed to make stage 1 hard enough that no one could pass it. Well, either way, this test ends here. Next time, we start the final test of this little mini marathon with Test 6, Escape 6. How will they do? Tune in next time to find out. Welcome to a place where people are rigorously tested. A place that tests a person both physically and mentally. A place where some pass, but most fail. Welcome to the Mercury Laboratories. Welcome to the Mercury Laboratories. This time around, we begin our 6th test of our little experiment, which of course is titled Escape 6. This time around, we have 3 returning and 2 brand new test subjects to take on our course. For stage 1, test subjects will have 1 minute 35 seconds to take on our 8-part obstacle course. Penalties will deduct 10 seconds from their time. First, test subjects will have to make their way across the rock line, which is immediately followed by the number cruncher EXQ. Then they'll have to make their way across the metal track and then get over the hurdles. Then they'll have to cross the Deceptor and then answer their question at the Number Cruncher EXA. After that, they'll have to get across Heaven's Gate and finally make their way up the rope climb and press the button to stop the clock. Will anyone pass the first stage this time around? First up is test subject number 21. This is his first time in the Mercury Laboratories, so let's see how he does in his big premiere.
3, 2, 1.
The clock starts and he sets off to take on the rock line. He gets past that very quickly, and his question is, what is 29 plus 72? He's going to have to memorize that answer and answer at the Number Cruncher EXA. Now on to the metal tracks. Now this time around, he knocks it off, as I was about to say. Oh no, another one. This time around, the bars are a lot easier to knock over, so you have to be extra careful on the metal track this time around. He already incurred 2 penalties, so he has to move. He gets over the hurdles very quickly, and now into the Deceptor. Requires a lot of balance, and he looks off balance, and that's another penalty. He's got to finish it. He gets across, now to Number Cruncher EXA. He's got to answer his question correctly. He answers 141, and that is incorrect. The correct answer was 101. He is low on time now. He gets across the Heaven's Gate, but unfortunately, he has run out of time. Test subject number 21 is eliminated. A relatively nice showing, but unfortunately, just too many slip-ups has cost him his chance to go on to stage 2. But at least he was able to finish the course. Next up is our other newcomer, test subject number 127. He looks ready to go, but let's see how he'll do on his debut in the Mercury Laboratories.
3, 2, 1.
The clock starts and he makes his way across the rock line very nicely onto the Number Cruncher EXQ. His question is, what is 13 plus 81? That sounds relatively simple. Let's see how he does when he gets to the Number Cruncher EXA. Now he carefully makes his way on the metal track. Those bars, oh no, he sets off the middle bar. And the back bar falls off too. That's unfortunate. He's already endured 20 seconds in penalties. Just like test subject number 21, he gets over the hurdles very quickly, and he slips off the Deceptor. Very reminiscent of the last run we just saw. He answers 94 correctly, and he starts making his way across Heaven's Gate. He's going at an okay pace. He gets across just nicely, and he makes his way onto the rope climb. He has a chance at this. If he could do it right now, he should be able to do it. But it appears that he is unaware of how much time is left. He is running out of time. And that's it. He's run out of time. He didn't get to go when he did. It appears he wasn't aware of how much time was left, and so it might have cost him. He's definitely struggling with the rope now, so it's hard to tell if he would have made it or not had he gone right away. But he did look tired. So, due to some miscalculation, test subject number 127 has also been eliminated. Alright, next up is test subject number 8.0. Last time we saw him was in test 3, where he made it all the way to the 3rd stage, but unfortunately was eliminated by the pole hanger. How will he do now?
2, 1.
The clock starts and he carefully makes his way across the lock line, no problem, onto the Number Cruncher EXQ. His question is, what is 11 plus 46? That sounds relatively easy if I don't say so myself. Now he carefully makes his way onto the metal tracks that have been quite tricky so far. He inches his way. He knocked down the back one, but he was able to recover the front bar very nicely. And only one knockdown. So far, so good. And he gingerly, very carefully, slowly makes his way onto the hurdles. Gets over both very easily. Now onto the Deceptor. He hops from the post, doesn't even touch the bars. Now he gets the Number Cruncher EXA, and he answers 57, and that is indeed correct. He has about 35 seconds left as he makes his way off across the Heaven's Gate. His height definitely helped him out there. Oh, he favors his left shoulder. That might play a factor on the rope climb. Makes his way up carefully. And with his face, he touches the button and hey, we actually have someone who passed. Wow, that hasn't happened since test 4. That's kind of sad. But hey, someone made it to stage 2. There's actually going to be a second episode this time around. Hooray! And now, next up is test subject number 45. We saw him in test 5 where he was one of the 4 people who got eliminated in stage 1. Meaning that everyone was eliminated in stage 1. But enough about that. Let's see how he does. He makes his way across the lock line just nicely and onto the number cruncher EXQ. His question is, what is 80 plus 60? I'll give you a hint, the answer ends in a 0. Let's see if he can actually remember his question by the time he gets to it this time around. And he is now standing on the metal track full force and oh, it almost worked. The middle bar fell off and he incurred a penalty. He gets over the hurdles very quickly and now onto the scepter. And he too jumps from post to post. That seems like a very helpful strategy. And now he answers 140 and he actually remembers the answer this time around. Plenty of time still left on the clock as he makes his way across Heaven's Gate. Seems to be slowing down. And he gets across just barely inside the OK zone. And now he jogs to the rope climb. Still plenty of time left on the clock. Wraps around the rope. Takes a quick breather. He gains his composure. And now he makes his way up the rope climb. Yeah, starts struggling a little bit. But you notice the way we tied it, we made it a little extra hard that way. And he touches the button! And he passes with 14.1 seconds left. And we have a second person moving on to stage 1. That is double the amount of people from test 4. That's good. And now last up is test subject number 22. Despite success in the past, he has gone through a slump and has failed the first stage in both test 4 and test 5. How will he do this time?
2, 1.
Clock starts and he makes his way across the lock line. He gets on the number country EXQ and his question is, what is 46 plus 89? Looks like he's taking his time making sure he knows the answer, and he makes his way onto the metal track. And oh, right away he knocks down the first bar, tries to be a little bit more careful, avoids the other two. Now he gets over the hurdles, first one, not as gingerly as other test subjects. Now onto the scepter, gains his balance, and he gets across nicely. Now to answer his question, he answers 135 and is correct. He jumps onto the Heaven's Gate, starts moving his way, and it looks like he's struggling a bit. He tries to swing his body, and he makes it into the landing zone. He has about 30 seconds left as he makes it onto the rope climb. Now the past 2 times, he had a lot of difficulty climbing up this obstacle. If he can't make it up, it's all over. And oh, that's a 10-second penalty because he fell into the out-of-zone area. Less than 5 seconds now. Can he somehow get the strength to try to climb this rope? Oh, unfortunately, he has timed out. And yeah, he can't do it. For the 3rd straight time in a row, test subject number 22 has failed the first stage. He looks very discouraged. Finally, we have more than one person who passed the first stage. The last time this happened was in test 3. And this is test 6. Next time, we finally head back to the 2nd stage. How will our 2 remaining test subjects do on a course that they've never tried before? Tune in next time to find out.
Welcome to a place where people are rigorously tested. A place that tests a person both physically
and mentally. A place where some pass, but most fail. Welcome to the Mercury Laboratories. It is now time for the second stage. The remaining test subjects will have 1 minute 20 seconds to complete the course, and penalties will deduct 15 seconds from their time. First, test subjects are going to have to swing across the whip swing and then make their way across the balance poles. After that, they're going to have to get on top of the Dragon's Quiz and answer a letter-ordered based question. Then they're going to have to navigate their way through the cramped crawl space, which is a lot harder than the regular crawl space, trust me. And after they make their way across the pillar path, they're going to have to run across the hill dash and hit the buzzer before time runs out. Who will pass, if any? First up is test subject number 45. This is his second time taking on the second stage. Last time was in test 3, where he beat the second stage. In fact, he made it all the way to the final stage in that test. But how will he do this time around in a brand new second stage that he has never taken on before?
2, 1.
The clock starts, and he swings his way to the other side, no problem, clears the whip swing. Now into the balance poles, he jumps in the first post, jumps the second post, and then jumps the rest of the obstacle. He gets across just nicely on the Dragon Quiz, and he's starting to lose his balance, and okay, that's okay. He landed in the starting area, no penalty is incurred, he is okay. He has to stand in between the two lines on the beam before he gets his question, and his question is, what comes 4 before P? And this is one of our harder questions, so let's see if he can answer it correctly. He answers L, and that is indeed correct. He gets to the other side, now into the cramped crawl space. What he has to do here is that he has to get under the two barriers on the ends, and then go over the bar that's hanging in the middle. Penalties will be incurred if he breaks anything, and he gets across that just perfectly, using a great strategy. Now onto the pillar path, onto the two vertical poles now, and now he's, oh no, he lost his balance and he has incurred a 15-second penalty. He has to start the pillar path over again as per the rules of this stage, and now he's getting across. He has 5 seconds left, he needs to hurry. Onto the hill dash, he's trying to hurry, but he can't slip. He's trying to make it across, and oh! So close, yet so far. Test subject 45 has been eliminated. And now it all comes down to test subject number 8.0. If he does not pass here, test 6 will end at stage 2. And once again, we will not be seeing stage 3.
2, 1.
Clock starts and he swings across, doing it much easier than test subject number 45 did. Now to the balance poles, and once again he jumps from post to post. They make it so easy because of their height. Now onto the Dragon's Quiz. He's in between the lines. His question is, what comes 2 before C? He easily answers A, and he jumps the rest of the distance. Now onto the cramped crawl space. Plenty of time left still. He gets underneath the first barrier. Now he's trying to figure out how to get over the bar. He goes feet first instead of head first. He does it just nicely underneath the second barrier. And now onto the pillar path. He's taking his time. He knows he has a lot of time. He doesn't want to mess up like test subject number 45 did. Making sure he has his footing. Onto the second bar. And he gets across just nicely. Now 30 seconds left still onto the hill dash. And oh, he slips! He slips! He didn't slip far enough to incur a penalty though, and he has just passed stage 2. Test subject number 8.0 is moving on to stage 3, which means that everyone finally gets to see what the new stage 3 looks like. Yes! And then there was one. A simple mistake cost test subject number 45 from making it to the third stage, but test subject number 8.0 persevered and will be the sole person taking on the redesigned stage 3. Next time, test subject number 8.0 takes on the third stage all by himself. Will he make it to the final stage, or will test 6 end at stage 3? Tune in next time to find out. Welcome to a place where people are rigorously tested. A place that tests a person both physically and mentally. A place where some pass, but most fail.
Welcome to the Mercury Laboratories. It is now time for Stage 3. This time around, the stage will be divided into 3 separate portions. First, test subject 8.0 will have to take on the mental portion, in which he'll have 10 seconds to take on the super 10-second showdown. Test subject number 8.0 will have 10 seconds to answer a 3-number math question while balancing on top of a peg. Then, test subject number 8.0 will have to take on the physical portion of the stage. If he got the previous question right, he will have 1 minute 45 seconds to take on the course. However, if he got the previous question wrong, he will only have 1 minute 30 seconds. Either way, penalties will deduct 20 seconds from his time. In the beginning of this portion, test subject 8.0 will have his legs tied and will have to make his way through the bouncing journey. Then he'll have to take on the possum tracks. After that, he'll have to take on the Satan's Cross, and finally, he'll have to take on the pole hanger. And if he succeeds, he will have to take on the final challenge. There is no time limit, but if he slips up on the Executioner 4, he will receive automatic failure. How will he do? And it is now time for test subject number 8.0 to take on the 3rd stage all by himself. He is in position of the super 10-second showdown, and all he has to do is wait for the signal to start. The clock starts, and he looks at his question, which is, what is 15 plus negative 64 plus 86? He's thinking. He answers 37, and it is indeed correct. He will have 1 minute 45 seconds on the clock in the physical portion, which he's now in place for. His legs have been bound by Velcro, and he's going to have to hop his way around markers set on the ground.
2, 1.
The clock starts, and he starts moving his way around the first marker. There's a total of 3 markers, and then he's going to have to get up a slope at the end of the course. And once he reaches the metal bar at the top of the slope, he'll then be allowed to untie the Velcro from his legs. He does that. Now into the possum tracks. We have barriers this time to show just how far he has to go using the technique we've seen. And what's he doing? And wait, did he just find a loophole? I thought we got rid of all the loopholes since test 3 after that whole thing with the paddle. Man, how do people always find these things? But anyway, yeah, he got past Satan's Cross, blah blah blah. Now into the pole hanger. Last time he tried this obstacle, he failed it. Let's see, he makes his way onto the 2nd bar, and he's getting to the end, and he makes it. And with plenty of time on the clock, it looks like he'll have just enough time to reach the end. Yep. He reaches the Executioner 4. Now he has to rest and take as long as he wants, but he's going to have to jump onto the bar and then make his way across the other side while avoiding the barriers in the middle. He gets ready for his jump, and he sets off. And he starts making his way across, has to get past the first barrier first, and he grabs the barrier, and he's going through the obstacle. And he made it, I think. Unfortunately, test 6 ends here. The rules of the Executioner 4 was that he had to go around the obstacles on the bar. However, test subject number 8.0 went through them. This resulted in an automatic disqualification. We have now reached the end of our 3-test marathon. A total of 11 attempts were made on the course, but all 11 attempts ended with failure. Unfortunately, the test subjects will not be able to try the course again because the Mercury Laboratories will be shutting down for good. I would like to thank everyone who watched the series over the years, and I hope you enjoyed the Mercury Laboratories.
Welcome to a place where people are rigorously tested. A place that tests a person both physically and mentally. A place where some pass, but most fail. Welcome to the Mercury Laboratories. Welcome to a place where people are rigorously tested. A place that tests a person both physically and mentally. A place where some pass, but most fail. Welcome to the Mercury Laboratories.
Welcome to the special epilogue episode of the Mercury Laboratories. Over the span of 6 tests, 33 attempts were made on the course. While some were successful, most were unsuccessful in completing the course. Unfortunately, the final test ended with no one reaching the final stage due to an unfortunate misunderstanding. I would have loved to produce more tests, however the location where the Mercury Laboratories was held was torn down. A new setup was never built, meaning that the Mercury Laboratories will be closed forever. The sad part is, previous to learning that the location had been torn down, I had completed the course design for Test 7. After months of planning, I was confident that this would have been the best obstacle course the Mercury Laboratories had ever seen. Still, I leave the show with no regrets. I've always wanted to produce my own game show, and the Mercury Laboratories has allowed me to do just that. I would like to thank all the people both on the Mercury Laboratories and on Playground Revenge who ran my courses. Without you guys, my dream would never have been a reality. It's been a good run, but it's time to say goodbye.